Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is the monthly real estate market report for the US for March 2021. Hey guys, my name is Mac Rogers. I'm a real estate broker here in the East Bay. Thanks for checking out our channel, Living in the East Bay. We do weekly videos about the East Bay real estate market as well as what it's like living here. We also do market report video like this one. As you know, we try every month to give you all the information you need for the US real estate market to be your go-to resource. So we're going to hop right in and get started with this March monthly market update. Let's start with this quote from Lawrence Yun, the chief economist at NAR. NAR stands for the National Association of Realtors. He says this: home sales could possibly reach 8 million if we had more inventory. It's the biggest challenge in the market out there right now, the lack of inventory. If you watch any of my update videos, I've said this time and again. This lack of inventory used to be a big issue here in the Bay Area and in California in general, but now it's everywhere. He goes on to say that mortgage rates should remain very low throughout 2021, although we might have seen the lowest already. So, have we seen the lowest already? Look, I'm not here to say that, but we're certainly seeing mortgage rates creep up here in the beginning of March, and we'll see more of that in the future. But as of today, mortgage rates, the average 30-year fix coming in at 3%. And Freddie Mac reporting this: since reaching a low point in January, rates have risen by more than 30 basis points, and the impact on purchase demand has been noticeable. Purchase activity remains high. It's cooled off over the last few weeks, and it's currently on par with the early March prior to the pandemic. However, the rise in mortgage rates over the next couple of months is likely to be more muted in comparison to the last few weeks. And we still expect a strong spring selling season. So the average 30-year fix is 3.02 right now. Sam Cater says this: what we've seen, rates start to tick up. And however, they will likely be more muted as we go forward. But no doubt the horizon is that interest rates are going to begin to rise as the economy improves, as we get better information on the coronavirus and everything happening with that. If we look at this is kind of a snapshot here we've been using for the 30-year fixed rate going all the way back to the beginning of last year. January and February of last year, two of the best months in residential real estate in over 10 years. We've been ahead of that this January and February, so a lot of demand, a lot of activity in the market, and now we're starting to see those rates creep up. Look, I'm not here to say we've seen the lowest, but it looks like those may be in the rear view mirror. More to come on that later. But interest rates in today's market are going to be a question for a lot of people out there thinking about buying a home. So we'll stay on top of that for you. Another question we always want to keep you updated is forbearance. So I want to bring you an update on that, and because there have been a few articles that have come out saying or asking, is forbearance going up? Is it going down? What's happening? Those that are coming out of forbearance, we see largely are remaining the same. This data is as of February 14. We see almost 1 out of 2 that took forbearance didn't need it. They made their monthly payments, or at the end they paid off their loan, whatever the case may be. A significant portion, 33%, are in some kind of loan modification. They're in a deferral, or they tack the payments at the back end. That's 84% of the people that took forbearance got out of it. Why is that important? Well, the narrative on the front end of this was that all these people that are going to take forbearance and they're all going to turn into foreclosures. Simply not the case. We still have those in red, a little over 15%, that are still in trouble. They don't have loss mitigation plan, or in some form of distress sale, deed in lieu, short sale, whatever the case may be. We'll keep our eye on those. But the important thing for those that are waiting to buy because you're thinking this whole forbearance will collapse the market, that is simply not the case according to these numbers. I know decisions are made based on how we feel, and how we feel is determined by what we read and what we see. And that's certainly not the message that's out there in the media. That 84% of the people that were on forbearance are moving through that, either having no issues at all or going through some kind of deferral modification with their bank. And so an important message for us is to really get the actual facts. if we look at the percentage of overall forbearance, that has decreased. It kind of plateaued over the last couple of months, where we see a 5.22% of mortgages as of the last month in active forbearance. Slowly coming down, but you can see there in the blue bars on this graph. And so while we start to see that come down, as we go throughout the year, we'll see more and more people come off of forbearance. Not everybody started in the same time. So we'll keep watching the administration and see what directives they offer. They've given some directive already to extending foreclosure moratoriums to the middle of the year, and maybe they'll extend it again. We don't know what they're gonna do, but one thing is sure, they don't want a repeat of 2008. But no doubt, over the next year, people will exit forbearance. That number will start to go down. DS News reported this. About 325,000 people will exit the forbearance program over the next 6 to 9 months without a plan in place. Some, but probably not all of those loans will likely default. So 325,000 according to DS News coming off of forbearance in the next 6 to 9 months. Those are the ones that we need to be concerned about. Now that brings up this question again. Are we going to see this rush of foreclosures? 325,000 people going into some type of distress sale? Now, we're not saying all those are. They're saying some but not all. This is kind of a concern. I mean, these are people that might be losing their homes. Never a good thing. We don't want to see anybody go through foreclosures. It's a fact that, and it happens, but that's a crisis for a family. It's a crisis for those individuals that are going through it, and we wish them the ability to be able to go through that. What we've talked about in everything over the last several months in the monthly market report is the role of equity is playing in people's lives relative to their home ownership today. And hopefully, those people can sell and move through the crisis they're going through. But to put that 325,000 families and individuals into perspective, I want to show you a picture if all that inventory were to come into the market today. Now again, nobody's calling for that. This graphic right here gives you a perspective of how housing inventory started each year going all the way back to 2016. You see where it's been, where we stand today, 325,000, just over 325,000 active inventory across the country. If all those distressed sales came to the market tomorrow, that wouldn't even get us to where we were this time last year or any time back to 2016. So as far as the real estate market is concerned, there's no way we see a foreclosure crisis coming soon. I think the biggest issue, no doubt, that we face, and it's highlighted by this graph here, is the lack of inventory. And Odetta Cushy from First American says this: the lack of existing homes available for sale remains the only drag in the housing market potential. I'm going to go back to that word potential in just a minute. It continues, many homeowners may want to upgrade but do not for fear that they will be unable to find a home to buy, preventing more supply from reaching the market and exacerbating the lack of inventory. As a result, everyone wants to stay put and the supply of homes for sale dwindles even further. This idea that we want to sell our home but we don't know where we're going to go is what a lot of folks are facing right now. What she's talking about here is reaching housing market potential in the number of transaction or sales. If we had the inventory just to match the demand that we have, you remember the first quote that I talked about with Lawrence Yun? 8 million homes could be sold, but if we don't have them, we can't sell them. The number of homes coming on the market across the country is turning into lower numbers than what we've seen before in recorded time. And this is a look at the year-over-year change in listings over the last year. The green bar is the new listings and the orange turning to red bar is total listings or inventory. And you see as quickly as it comes to the market, it's being purchased across the country. And what we need is those listings to come back to the market. And we talked last time on the monthly market report about where those will be coming from. From those that maybe, put off selling something from builders to those that feel comfortable this year, even those that are going to experience a need to sell their home because of what they went through in the pandemic. Lawrence Yun says this: home sales continue to ascend for the first month of the year as buyers quickly snatched up virtually every new listing coming to market. Sales easily could have been 20% higher if there had been more inventory, more choices. Again, we can't sell what we don't have. This is so true of the markets that I serve here in the East Bay, whether it's Castro Valley, Dublin, Hayward, or all the way to the Delta region. You know, we talk a lot about in the past the sweet spot to sell something, right? When do you want to sell something? Well, when there's very few of that item at that certain time that you want to sell. And in real estate, that usually is around the end of the year, November, December, and the very beginning of the year, January and February. Last January and February was a sweet spot, but today we sit at an even sweeter spot with about an average of about 1.9 months of active inventory across the country. Now, depending on where you're at, that may be a little higher, a little lower. Here in the East Bay, properties are being marketed in less than 7 days. So we can say it is the sweet spot in the time that we've shown here, and probably in the time that real estate has been sold in your lifetime and in my lifetime. You know, I think one thing that we can look at here coming from Nationwide Mutual is as the COVID-19 vaccine becomes more available and the economy improves, he predicts that more homeowners realizing the equity gains in their homes will list their existing homes, and that could help alleviate some of the housing shortages. No doubt the shortage in housing and demand coming to housing, people are saying we need to buy something. Low rates, we're going to go ahead and do it. It's caused the price to go up. When that price goes up, what does that mean? It means more equity for homeowners. And probably that point right there will be people that will make a decision to sell this year because they have equity they can leverage. They can go out and buy another home, move up. They can do a number of things that they put off doing relative to their home, given the equity gains they've seen in the last 12 months. That brings us to this point. Probably one of the biggest pieces right now that people are talking about is home price appreciation. We've got some final numbers in the last year that I want to talk about. The 2020 final appreciation numbers are in. FHFA is saying 10.8% appreciation. CoreLogic is saying 9.2%. Case-Shiller saying 10.4%. Let's just call it 10% appreciation across the country. Very, very healthy and good appreciation. Now, this is above the normal appreciation across the country, causing some to go and ask, are we appreciating too fast? Again, our favorite chief economist Lawrence Hughes says this: a typical homeowner in 2020, just by being a homeowner, they would have accumulated around $24,000 in housing wealth. Now, while that's a fact in 2020 for the average homeowner, that's also a fact for future homeowner. Those that aren't homeowners yet, that don't have the opportunity to build that wealth. So to have an opportunity to participate and build wealth through home ownership, one of the greatest gifts of home ownership, we talk a lot about the financial benefits. If anything, 2020 gave us a look at non-financial benefits of home ownership, the meaning of a home, and all the time that we're spending at home. And now we see the financial benefits just as equal or as powerful. It's got a lot of people again thinking, okay, our home's becoming unaffordable. Mark Fleming from First American says this: nationally, house buying power continues to exceed the median sales price and implies housing is not overvalued today. We also look at NAR's Home Affordability Index, and we know that homes are more affordable today. Now, as interest rates rise, as prices go up, we've talked about that's going to eat into affordability, no doubt. But as we stated today, affordability is looking very, very good. Now, this is a combination of rising wages and lowering interest rates, which brings us to good affordability. But don't confuse affordability, home affordability, with affordable housing. Two different issues. There is no doubt in this country a need for more affordable housing. More housing that people can buy affordably. And we know on the lower end of just about every market, that's where there's less and less inventory. So affordable housing, a different issue than housing affordability. And that's across the country, very, very good right now. As we look forward to this year and what experts are saying about appreciation, they are upgrading their forecast for appreciation. I've got the most recent update here from the forecasters that we're following. You see, MBA, big jump here from, over 10% appreciation. And then on down the line, the average being just around 6%, 5.9% appreciation. Why is this? I think they're saying, hey, look, we don't see maybe so much inventory coming back. No doubt, forecasters are saying inventory, it's going to come from builders, it's going to come from those that put it off, it's going to come as people feel more safe, it's going to come by those that are affected by the pandemic. And expect, as we get more and more news, this light at the end of the tunnel type of news, that more and more people will put their homes on the market, bringing more inventory into the market, and that will have an effect on price appreciation. Appreciation always going to be determined by the supply and demand ultimately. As we bring more supply into the market, they help alleviate some of that demand, and you should see prices level out. But as these forecasts move and change, we're always going to bring you those. And because I think there are a lot of people looking at housing prices today saying, all right, we're running a little hot right now. We've talked extensively about this, about historical price appreciation at 3.8%. And if you've watched my videos, if you haven't, you can go back to my prior monthly market report and listen and watch that. But we've got a lot of people asking this question: are we in a bubble? And I want to give you some pricing comparisons to really give you context and see pricing today is nowhere near where it was pre-housing crash. Because some people are saying, hey, I get it, it's not 2008, but it feels like it could be 2006 all over again. So let's look at that real quick and take a look at specifically pricing. Now, take a look here. Here's an annual home price appreciation. The 4 years leading up to 2006, some at the height of the housing market, and then the 4 years leading up to today. And what do you see right here? Annual appreciation averaged 10.3% back then, where today it averages just around 6%. Big difference in the amount of appreciation year over year, where we've seen a lot of the appreciation the last 12 months. This demand has eaten into the amount of supply because so many people are looking for a solution in housing. Back then, we would say that was a runaway appreciation in those 4 years. And we know that as you have runaway appreciation, something bad is about to happen, and that certainly did in the housing crisis. And where we stand today, we've had a lot, but we've had higher appreciation in the last year. We see the annual average appreciation is nowhere near what it was. If we even go back and look at the FHFA maps going back to the fourth quarter of 2020 and say, okay, the country appreciated 10.8% according to them, and we look across regions, we see most of them somewhere between 20%. Pacific, where I'm at, 11.6%. I want to give you that same map going back to the fourth quarter of 2005, and you can see the stark difference here. At that time, housing appreciation across the country was on average about 13%. But do you see out west, 18% appreciation? In the south, 17.8%, almost 18% appreciation. In the middle of the country, 6 or 7% appreciation. So not all areas were treated the same, but a very interesting look when you start to look at how was the market performing in 2005 and how is the market performing today. Stark difference there. And so I think with this pricing look, we can confidently say pricing is not responding or acting the way it was back then. And by the way, we don't have the appreciation in the market like we had back then as well. And the demand that we have is real based on the fact that back then it was inflated due to loan products, due to the ability to qualify. It was almost harder not to qualify for a mortgage back in 2005. And with the appreciation game, people were buying homes saying, hey, I don't care what I'm gonna pay for it because in 6 hours it's gonna be worth $50,000 more. And they would just do that. And we know what happened there. Very different situation today that we're in when you start to look at the numbers. But again, sellers, buyers are influenced by what they believe. What they believe is generated from what they read and what they see. And this is not the message that's out there. Fannie Mae just released this. Consumers reported significantly more positive view of home selling conditions in the last month. And we want to pay attention to that because around the corner here, it's almost spring. We're in March right now. And more people are going to think, should we do something? Hey, thanks for watching, you guys. If you're in the market to sell a home or to buy a home, check out our spring and seller buyer's guide down below. It's got the questions in it that sellers need to know today. If I sell now, where will I go? Are we in a bubble? All the things that we talked about here, and really a great resource for selling and buying a home. You know, things like how do I prepare for a successful offer, which, you know, in today's market is very important and a very different game. And you've got to be prepared, whether you're a seller and a buyer, to ensure success on what it takes to win in this market. So as always, our goal with the monthly market report is to give you the education you need to be able to make the right decision and offer you a better chance of succeeding in your home buying and home selling needs. So whether it's interest rates, whether it's appreciation and home values, we're always going to give you what you need. So thank you for investing the time to watch our video and understand what's happening in the real estate across the country. We'll see you again next month. Take care and check out the rest of our videos.